One, two, three. Welcome everybody to Grow Mastermind Group. We are a group of entrepreneurs here whose mission it is to vision and purpose to encourage other entrepreneurs to fulfill, unleash, and discover their potential. We meet every single Sunday at 8 p.m. and we discuss different topics like house seeds or things that every single entrepreneur or person that needs to grow, they will be inspired from. We also have a lot of, I will say, beautiful, amazing, inspirational stories. So if you're not tuning in with our group, please do so. Tonight we have something special. Tonight is not going to be our regular 8 o'clock. I think it's a little bit earlier, 2 hours early, 6 o'clock. And we have an event tailored special to Crush 21. Why to Crush 21? Each of us have that dream to make a better year, to grow, to do better. And every single of you deserve to have one of the best years and best outcome from that year. And for that reason, we thought we're going to put some wonderful, I will say, amazing, well put together, step by step, how to crush it, how to get the best of you, how to put your goals together, how to create a vision, how to put your mindset, how to put your goals, how to go over your time management, your accountability, your overall, I will say, like you see in this beautiful slide that runs over me, above me, outside, to take control over your life. And of course, to put some energy in that one, because without to put the energy in what you have and to really wish it, really want it, it's going to be very hard to achieve it. This being said, so
Thank you.
like Mr. Christian said, you need accountability. And Mr. Christian, do you want to introduce our next person?
Yes. So my man, Brandex, the man himself, he's gonna tell you lots of things about how you can set yourself accountable. So without any further ado, I'll give you Brandex.
What's up, amazing people? Wow, I think I've written like 7 pages of notes. No lie. Like, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just about 7 pages of so many different nuggets of information that has been out there. I want to introduce myself. I'm Brandex. I'm a motivational speaker, health and fitness coach. I'm a weight management specialist, accountability coach, high performance coach. And my mission statement is to guide and inspire the world to optimal health, abundance, and internal peace by just connecting you back to the original design. And what I mean by the original design is to take you into that place where you understand that you were designed to be limitless. You were designed without limits. I love how Ileana was talking about, imagine things limitless. Well, what I let people know is go back into that superhero you were as a child, where you thought you were Superman or Wonder Woman, where you believed that you were a princess or a king, and you put a blanket around your neck and you went out into the world and you had the time of your life. Well, adults miss out on that. And it is from the lack of innocence of belief in understanding who they are. That's why we don't tap back into that person, because we don't believe we ever were that person. But it's not that you're going from weak to strong, it's that you were never weak. Now, what I'm going to talk to you about accountability is I have accountability groups for men and I have accountability groups for women. And one thing I talk to them about is who is going into 2021 and who's staying behind. Who is going into 2021 and who needs to stay behind? When you look at yourself in the mirror, you see parts of yourself that you don't like. And some of us like to look at ourselves in the mirror and tear ourselves apart. If we were to write out every word that we're saying about ourselves and somebody else were to read it, they would feel really bad. If we were to vocalize the words that we feel about ourselves to somebody else, we would be offending them big time. We can easily call ourselves an idiot and just feel that we're worthless. But for us to call somebody else an idiot and call them worthless, it's not so easy. Well, what I'm going to be talking about today is the accountability, not just with your peers, but with yourself. The moment when you sit down with yourself and you say, how am I going to talk to myself in 2021? How am I going to set accountability for myself? And am I going to be celebrated or just tolerated? Are you going to continue surrounding yourself with groups of people who just tolerate you, that where your dream is too big or your income is too big and things are just bothering them? Or are you going to be around people that are going to sharpen you and going to cheer you on and share your content and get you out there and help you become known along with them? In this conference, we are 8 speakers that have come together that have been planning this for several days now, several meetings that we've come together, and we have celebrated each person in the process. We have shared each other's content. We have gone out there and been accountable with each other to make sure that we're going to make this work. Who is your team? Do you have accountability groups? Do you have people that make sure that you're even okay? You see, as an accountability coach, people literally come up to me and hire me because they're like, no one checks in on me. Busy mother, busy father, realize that you are the main character of your story. Imagine you're watching a superhero film and you are the superhero, and the entire narrative is about your life. So I go back to the question, like, who are you and who are you leaving behind? Have you really been encouraging yourself through 2020? Or have you been, as Juan said, that you were like beating yourself up, you were anxious? It's awesome that it happened to him in 2019, because imagine if that wouldn't have happened and then 2020 would have came about and his mindset of really feeling it. It's a beautiful thing that it happened a year early, so he was prepared for 2020 to happen. Right now, everything that just happened in 2020 is preparation for 2021. I believe 2021 is going to be greater. Some people are like, oh, it might get worse. You see, I believe a lot of it is about how are you going to respond, not what is going to happen. Because in 2020, everything grew for me. The same way Christian said it, Juan said it, all these people have been saying it. Things grew in a year of a drought. Now, I am a huge believer in God. I'm constantly in prayer. Before I start my day, part of my morning routine is going into the book of Proverbs, which is the book of wisdom, and just listening into what is going to happen in my day, taking guidance. Now, if you're ever going to go to war, and a lot of times your low self-esteem is a war in itself, you don't have to go alone. Surround yourselves in groups that are going to encourage you. We have met through a growth mastermind group. If you're not a part of that group, you're missing out. Because first of all, this group has people from so many different tax brackets, people who are generating close to millions of dollars and some who are generating a couple $1,000, but it doesn't matter because they're all working on 10xing their life, which means they're trying to make 10 times more of their income. And majority of the people who got on here are because they took the Cardone University, joined the Facebook group, so they chose to be parts of community. What community have you chosen to be a part of? The Netflix fan club, where you check in with your friends and every time you guys are talking about that new series that came out when you're wasting brain cells and wasting time and complaining how you're not living your dream? Or are you surrounding yourself with people who are saying, hey, I only slept 4 hours, but I'm running 3 hustles and I'm getting things done and I only use 15-minute brackets to get stuff done? How long is that series you've been watching and how many hours have you been putting into that? That's when you have to be real with yourself. And I'm going to talk to you about the different pillars of health, because health is fitness, but it's also mindset, which Ileana covered. It is also rest, which also is very key when it comes to time management and understanding that you are a human being, not just a working being. And here you're going to learn a lot of different things that you can change your life with, but you have to remember that you're also a human being. Now, in the midst of this, I took a break from my break. I'm actually on a 2-week hiatus, a complete break, because as Grant Cardone says, take a vacation long enough that you don't need another vacation for a while. So I actually decided to take a 2-week break, but I'm doing this out of love because this is my biggest passion. I don't even feel like I'm working by doing this. I feel that I'm just adding significance to the world. And that's the difference between success and significance. And when you're accountable with yourself, you ask yourself, was I more focused on being successful or significant? Was I more focused on leaving a legacy? And as you go through the accountability process, realize that your number one accountability coach is yourself. At the end of the day, you check in with yourself. I read this book called The Entrepreneur Roller Coaster. And he said, the best way to be accountable with yourself is to check in with yourself at the end of the day. If you had to set up 3 goals to make 2021 the greatest year of your life, at the end of the day, check in with yourself and say, did I even work towards those 3 goals? Did I even make this year happen? because life doesn't get better by chance. It gets better by the choices you make. And as long as you're not accountable with yourself, the same way, majority of America, 155 million, close to 155 million people are suffering from chronic issues. And I believe a lot of that is because of life decisions. You see, they have done studies and they found out that less than 12 to 20% are genetic. When a time that everybody likes to blame everything on the genes and the genes, it's the genetic, it was passed down, all these things. No, they're finding out that it's lifestyle. It is lifestyle. It is your lifestyle that has caused all these things to take place. And now there's even something they discovered called epigenetics, which means the environment that you place yourself in is altering your DNA. And the way that they discovered that was also with firefighters. Firefighters are more prone to cancer, unfortunately. Well, it's also the environments, the toxins that they have placed themselves in. They've done studies on twins, same genetic makeup, identical twins with completely different health by the time they're in their 40s and 50s. Why? Well, because of their life decisions. You see, Juan talked about the tragedy of a woman and how she went about overcoming her trauma versus the other one that stayed imprisoned by her trauma. When you are accountable with yourself, you have to say, am I going to be my own supervillain? Am I going to be the person that wakes up and bashes myself every single morning? Or am I going to be the person who puts on a Rocky soundtrack and shows up and shows out to whatever it is that I have to show out in life? You see, during this pandemic, right before this, I was in the biggest financial hole of my life. I wasn't raised learning how to manage finances. I was raised how to be an employee. And I became an employee at a very young age, but I was making better money than I should have at a young age. And I made all the wrong financial decisions. I put myself in over $20,000 of debt because between getting a car that I couldn't afford and taking out credit cards just to go on vacations, and every single mistake that I could make, I did make, to then hit rock bottom and have to sleep on my mother's couch to try to figure out everything from scratch. But let me tell you something. I'm a big person in prayer. And in my prayer life, God told me start waking up at 5 a.m. and pray over your business, but be up and be alert and take on your day. And when I started to do that, I started making thousands of dollars more a month, doing exactly the same thing, but at a higher scale with more accountability, with more goal setting. And in that process, I met people that generated more money and connected with people that started to generate more money, and the Cardone University. All these things started happening just from the summer, not even the beginning of the pandemic. But everything has scaled up, making thousands more a month than I ever did, even in a regular job. I work completely for myself, and now I could be a blessing for my family, able to bless my family for Thanksgiving. For Christmas, I got my mom the desk she wanted. All these things that God started to show me when you begin to become accountable with yourself. You could sit here and victimize yourself and say, I was never taught finances, so that's why I suck with my bills. I was never taught how to be healthy, and that's why I am unhealthy. No, when you are accountable with yourself, you say, I was never taught, but I will learn today. There's an ancient proverb that it says, there is a man, he is in chains, and he chooses to learn. And there's a king who's not in chains, not in prison, but chooses to no longer learn. The man in chains will surpass the king who chooses to no longer continue to learn. Where I am today is because I choose to learn. I choose to listen. So many people who I feel are in here, you're not going to the next level because you refuse to listen. You refuse to be accountable. Iron sharpens iron, and no one goes to war by themselves. Why are you battling by yourself? I love that Juan said that when he was battling low self-esteem, which is what the battle was, he started seeking other people. If you are not where you want to be in life, start seeking the guidance. Start looking for the coaches that are going to take you to where you need to go. If your health is not where you need it to be, then you have to start seeking the coaches that are going to take your health to where it needs to be. As long as you have pride to tell you that, oh, well, this is just my story, this is how it's going to go down, this is what life looks like, and this is just it, then you will continue to live just that. But imagine you can live a life where you could be such an abundant blessing to the world, but at the same time feel bountiful within. Imagine when you can use your legacy to connect to so many other people, but to also begin to connect with yourself. When are you going to wake up and love yourself? When are you going to wake up and be like, wow, amazing job? Because even as Juan said, and thank you, Juan, for sharing your story, He was a success, but felt like a failure, because that still happens if we don't check in with ourselves and have that moment of truth, of appreciation for ourselves and connection with ourselves. And he says something key: exercise. Did you know that waking up in the morning and doing cardio is the #1 antidepressant and anti-anxiety there is? There is not one medication that can be given to you through psych meds that will cure your depression or your anxiety like cardio will, because cardio literally gets the hormones in the brain and creates a chemical balance. That's why the days that you are depressed, you are laying in bed for too long. And because you've laid in bed for too long, you are officially feeling emotionally despair. You start feeling lonely. You start feeling worthless. You start feeling everything that is working against you. Understand, the facts are out there. You want to see change in your life? Read books. Stand on books. Make your life the story you want to live. This is your life. Are you who you want to be? Because if you're not, now you have less than a week to make a decision of who's about to walk into 2021. Who is about to walk into the greatest year of your life, and declare it. Like I said, put on the Rocky music. I ran certain days, I ran like 9 miles. I think last month I ran 9 miles. I told myself I'm just going to run 4 miles. I ended up running 9 miles, but I had the best soundtrack. I had the best motivational speakers speaking into me. And the day before that, I felt like I was falling into depression, because you know what, guys? It's not that you're up and you stay up. It's that you're up and sometimes you have down, but you got to get yourself back up. I can't tell you that I feel a million times a day. No, there's times that I have lows, but I can't allow my low to keep me down. I can't allow the low to keep me down. I can't allow the oppositions of life to make me feel that I'm weak and inferior. I have to allow the oppositions in life to teach me a lesson. Too many of you have allowed the oppositions in life to keep you down, to keep you stuck, to keep you exactly where you're at. No, if you are not where you're at, stand on books, learn, get yourself out of that rut and realize that you can. But when you start to have that mindset, I loved what Ileana said about the plan C, that childlike imagination. Why is it so hard for us to believe in ourselves? But as children, it exactly happened. She used the example of Christmas. When you ask a kid for a Christmas wish, someone's literally asked for a cat unicorn. And funny enough, on Amazon, there literally are cat unicorns. So the person got their child a cat unicorn for Christmas. But a child imagines things like that. Now, what if in your imagination, like mine, my dream is to have safe place homes for children that have dealt with physical, verbal, sexual abuse and are abandoned on the streets. My dream is to make that happen all across the world. Right now, I'm currently Man of the World USA. I'm currently representing the United States in an international competition. And my advocacy is self-worth. And I will be going to orphanages. I just helped get during this pandemic, I helped get over 50 backpacks filled with supplies. So over like thousands of dollars worth of supplies for children in a foster care system. So my dream is becoming my reality. And in the process, I still get to model. Sometimes you think that if you give up one thing, you have to go for the other. What if you could have both? If you read a book called The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, you will understand that your money blueprint is what's limiting you. You think that success means you can't have time with your family. You think that hustle means that you have to leave everything behind. No, you can have both, but you have to be very clear on what do you want your life to look like. Who is your favorite star? Who is your role model? And if you don't have a role model, become the role model. Because the #1 thing that's lacking is role models. We have supermodels, we have celebrities, but who are the real role models and how many are there compared to how many 7 billion people are out there? Are you ready to become that role model to somebody's life that when they look and they have a looking glass into your life, they see something to look forward? And integrity is everything about accountability. Do the right thing when nobody's watching. Don't just read the books because your family's watching you read books. Read those books even when they're sleeping. Don't just read the books so that you can let your mentor know, hey, I read the book. No, read them because you want to go to that next level. And check your heart. Always be accountable with your heart. If you just want to be rich and famous, for what? What are you going to do with your money? And why does your name need to be known? If that's your objective, you just want to be rich and famous, you just want to be extremely wealthy, for what? What do you plan to do? If you have no intentions attached to that, then you're going to get it and it's going to destroy you. How many celebrities end up killing themselves? How many people win the lotto and lose it and end up worse off? If you want to create an accountability check with yourself, check your heart. You know, a turtle eats from the grass and a giraffe eats from the top of the trees. You know the difference in their heart? A turtle's heart is the size of your thumb. A giraffe's heart is about the size of your fist. The bigger your heart, the higher you will go, the farther you will go. TD Jakes said it, and it's such a powerful, powerful, powerful visualization of checking your heart. You see, some of you are like, oh, well, I'm fine, I'm comfortable, I'm here. But you have this employee mindset of a retirement check or just enough, but realize that when you really care about this world, you want to leave a legacy and you want to make sure it's better off. So that means you choose to not go to the grave with every single ounce of talent and skill that you have inside of you. So many books are not written and they went to the grave. So many songs were never sung and they went to the grave. They say that the cemetery is the richest place, filled with wealth and ideas and songs that were never sung and everything that's there, because people never decided to be accountable with themselves and say, I'm going to live the greatest life. Now, I am a big believer in God, and I believe that when he designed us with greatness. It wasn't just like, oh, let's just put this thing together and make it exist on here. You see, even the trees, when you walk outside, those trees are producing oxygen for your very lungs. Every human on this call has such a great purpose, but it's up to you to unleash that purpose. It's up to you to be accountable and say, I'm going to unleash this and become the greatest version of myself. And I'm not going to stop until I see that person. Because the same way that somebody battles with obesity when they feel like I'm never going to see myself with the weight loss is the same way that someone's in $50,000 of debt and feels I'm never going to see this debt go down. No, what's going to cause both of those things to go down? Discipline. And that's how you become accountable with yourself. You become disciplined. You tell yourself, I'm waking up at 5 a.m. or I'm waking up at 4:30. I'm waking up at 4 a.m. I'm waking up at 3 a.m. Whatever time you got to wake up, you just say, I'm doing it and it's done. The same way that someone who battles with obesity, as I've helped someone who was battling obesity drop over 160 pounds in a year just by having that breakthrough moment. In less than 18 months, they dropped 160 pounds just because they showed up to their diet, showed up to their workouts, and just kept going. This person was over 400 pounds for 20 years, and they still said, I'm going to make it happen. And that's one of my greatest accomplishments because I realized that I was able to change their story within their head. And as a coach, all you do is draw out from people what is inside of them. That is what the word exhortation stands for. That's what in Brandex, it stands for exhortation, drawing out from you what is already in you. Nothing that I'm saying now is new to the inner parts of you. You want to connect to your greatness, connect deeper into yourself. Ask yourself what really makes your heart thrive, because some of you are probably doing things just to make money. If you're doing it just to make money and there's absolutely no passion attached to it, you're going to burn out. It's going to be stressful instead of stretchful. But if you start doing things because you're actually passionate about it, because you're actually seeing the legacy you're about to leave, you're actually connecting with yourself in a deeper level, and you're feeling fired up in the process, then the stress won't exist. It'll be there momentarily, and it's just going to feel like you're being stretched. And being stretched is scary. The same way if someone's going to stretch my arm, it scares me because it's pushing it. But what is it doing? It's taking it exactly to the location where it needs to go. Accountability stretches you and takes you to exactly where you need to go. But understand, nobody goes to war alone. Start seeking guidance. It's never an army against one person. It's army against army. You see, we live in a spiritual world and things work against us. Low self-esteem is knocking on our door on a constant. But as long as you keep yourself in low self-esteem groups, low self-esteem daily habits, watching these Hallmark Christmas movies when you already feel forever single and you continue to watch these movies that are going to make you feel worse about yourself instead of reading books on self-development and learning how to love yourself. We are the #1 sabotagers of our success. The same way you want to lose weight, but you allow your emotional eating to eat donuts instead of eating vegetables. You have to have a moment of truth with yourself and say that my life is a reflection of what I feel I deserve. If your life looks like crap right now, it is because you believe you deserve crap. But if you start to say, no, my life will begin to be a reflection of what I know I deserve, not what I thought I deserved, not based off of the trauma that I've experienced, not based off of the hurt and the words that people have said. You see, one thing I have my accountability clients do, which I would love for you to do, write out a list of all the lies you've believed about yourself, and then destroy that list. But realize that your subconscious mind still repeats that to you every morning when you wake up. And you'd be surprised how many words have been said to you that have destroyed you, that you truly have believed. That you truly have believed these words, that these words came from other people's bitterness. As a child, you've been shut down. As a child, you have been shut down. From very young, you've been shut down. And anytime somebody tries to continue living in greatness, people tell you, get your head out of the clouds, get your head out of the clouds. The people who ended up reaching the top is because they stopped listening to the people who chose to stay in the village. The people who decided to go against the atmospheric pressure and reach the mountain. You see, I love Peter's background because he has clouds in the background. When you climb a mountain, you end up with your head in the clouds, but you're getting to the peak. So when somebody tells you get your head out of the clouds because you have an amazing idea, you just realize you're like, yo, I'm going somewhere they haven't gone. And I want to live somewhere that they haven't been to. Who you listen to, you learn from. As you've been listening to these different speakers, you've been learning how to get to where they're at because they're taking you there. But who have you been listening to? Really ask yourself, what group of people have you been listening to? What pages do you follow on social media? Like, what YouTube channels are you subscribed to? You want to get to that next level. You have to always remember that proverb that the person who chose to learn surpassed the king who basically thought he knew everything. Some of you are surrounded by people with successful careers because they got their degree and they're making their 6 figures and they feel more entitled and more successful than you could ever be because you didn't get your degree. And some of you have really created that as a doctrine in your mind, and it has hindered you from going to the next level. Realize that some of the successful people that are speaking here are making more than people will ever with their degree. You see, a degree has a cap off. An entrepreneur has no cap. And I'm not bashing a degree, but I'm not saying it's the only way. Understand that, but become accountable with yourself. You want to see yourself as a 7-figure earner? Well, how does your life dictate today what your next 5 years are going to look like? If you believe you're going to make $1 million in the next 5 years, how do you believe that? What does today need to look like? And understand, even in the simple things, if on your time off, you can't spend time with your children, that you're too busy focusing on business and things, you're basically telling God, hey, I'm not ready for the next level. If you can't rest properly, then you can't go to the next level. Because then when you're running tens of thousands of different companies and you're getting assets from so many places and everything is growing, but you can't rest, then you're basically saying you can't handle. Honor your flocks. Honor what you have. Become accountable even with what you have at this moment. Realize that our ancestors had to take care of their gardens. They had to take care of the farm. They had to make sure the animals were good, because if not, they couldn't eat. Some of you are so caught up in the success hustle that you're neglecting what you already have. Honor what you have. Become accountable with what is before you. And whatever you want to see expand, it's what you focus on, you feed, and what you feed is going to grow. If you want your physique to look amazing, then start to focus on how you're going to treat it. What are the habits you're going to create? I love that every speaker that put in their time management, goal setting, everything, it's really, that's what leads to accountability. At the end of the day, when you check in with yourself, did you even go for a walk? You see, you want to break out of having bad blood pressure. You want to break out of having bad blood sugar, all these things. But what did you do today to get out of there? When are you going to be real with yourself? Accountability is all about, like, basically telling the excuses to shut up, telling that lying side of you that tries to trick yourself. It's crazy how we could be in denial with ourselves. When we say, oh, tomorrow I'm going to start goal setting. Tomorrow I'm going to start exercising. The second you say tomorrow I'm going to go exercise, why don't you just go for a walk at that moment? Even if it's a 10-minute walk, at least you got to walk in. So before you went to sleep, you tell yourself, wow, I am a champion. I want you to start visualizing your life like you have a Rocky Balboa literally soundtrack on everything you're doing. And you're like, da-na-na-na. You're just really going out there. You're going out there and you have this mindset that you already won. You have this mindset that you are going to accomplish amazing things. And even if you fail, you're going to get back up. You see, nobody makes 100% of their shots. People miss the shot, but the better they get is from the law of averages. The more shots you take, the better you'll get. When you go up to bat, the more times you swing, the better you get, the more chances you have of winning. Get back up, become accountable with yourself. An object stays in motion until something causes it to go to rest. Some of you were in motion and something, a divorce, a breakup, a trauma, a death, something caused you to go to rest. And now you don't take care of your mindset or you don't take care of your body. You stop writing that book. You stop writing that song. You stop working on those businesses because something came in and caused you to go to rest. You want to start being accountable with yourself. You start saying, whatever caused me to go to rest, I'm not going to allow that to be greater than where I'm headed. That giant is just going to show you how much you really believe in that amazing year ahead. 2020 could have caused you to go to rest, but 2021 has your name on it. And even if there is opposition in 2021, even if there are things working against you there, you're going to continue to rise up and move forward. And before we transition into the next person, and then I'll give you guys a second to ask questions, is this. And this is what you're going to imagine as we go into the topic of fear with Emmanuel. So before we ask questions, I want you to, well, let's do questions and then I'll ask that. If you guys have any questions, I'm open. Woo, I'm fired up. Thank you, Brandex. Great energy. Awesome stuff. Awesome. Yeah, follow me on IG, Brandex Journey, like the Zoom name. Yeah.
Brandex,
I love you guys.
Until everybody's going to ask questions, can you please tap into one of the topics, which is my favorite? It's the chemical reactions in your brain while you're doing exercise, and what happened when you start your day with exercise and you're not starting on, like that lazy moment to say like that you don't want to do nothing and you just wake up and say, oh, I have to work. Instead of that, you start, you exercise, you push your chemicals. I'm not gonna say, I want you to say them, you're gonna push your chemicals, you're gonna have that morning rush. If it's possible to talk about that.
Yes. So there's a couple there's a couple chemical reactions. So a big part of it is endorphins. Somebody had talked about endorphins. Endorphins are the feel good for your body. Your body literally says thank you when you do something that causes your endorphins to be released. A lot of people that battle with depressions is the lack of receptors for the endorphins. When you go running, you increase the receptors of your brain activity. When your heart starts to race, so whether you go running, you jump rope, you do push-ups, you increase the receptors, the ability for your body to receive endorphins. And endorphins were created in your body so that you can feel good when you take care of yourself. So it's really hard to battle depressions and go for a run. It's like your brain goes through this battle and you're all of a sudden, you're like, I feel good. That's why after a workout, you're just like, wow, I feel great. It's literally, you start creating a chemical balance between your dopamine, your serotonin levels, all of it, it's starting to balance out. And the more stagnant you are, the more still you are, the more of an imbalance it creates. We were designed to be in motion. Our ancestors, we would have never made it anywhere as a civilization if our ancestors sat and watched Netflix or sat and did nothing. Like, we would have never discovered land. We would have never discovered food. We would have done nothing and got nothing. Well, the price of civilization is what's killing people. The price of civilization, they did a study on Native Americans here in the US. I know some of you are in other countries. The Native Americans in the US were the first one with most prone to type 2 diabetes, because when the European culture came into the US, the Native Americans were no longer able to chase buffalo. They were no longer able to dance. So the chasing buffalo was their activity. and they were no longer able to dance. So they were not able to really connect with their emotions, allowed to release those endorphins, celebrate themselves. And their diet was high sodium because it was imported from Europe. So you want to know why your health is going out of whack, like even your emotional state, because remember, health is mindset, diet, exercise, and recovery. It's not just the diet, it's not just the exercise, it's also the mindset you have and the amount of sleep patterns you have and how you reward yourself. Price of civilization. Live like a savage. I call my clients and all my Instagram, call it the IG fam, Gram fam. I call them savages. The more that you tap into being a savage, like wake up and go running and sweat and have a great day, or wake up and crush a 6 a.m. workout like I have my clients do, you just tap into your ancestral roots of like, it's time to eat, it's time to go, I'm hungry. So awesome. And that actually leads me to the next topic for fear is you have a lion and you have an elephant. And a lion is the king of the jungle. The elephant, who's more powerful, more strong, probably more intelligent, is seen as lunch to the lion, because the lion looks at the elephant and he says, that is lunch. And the elephant looks at himself like, I'm lunch. And what is the difference? The fear factor. The lion looks and he's fearless and he looks at his opponent. And the elephant is stilled by fear, controlled by fear, and he continues to be eaten. So that being said, I lead you to our next speaker, Emmanuel the Great, and he's going to talk to you about fear. So awesome, Emmanuel. Take the show. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for listening. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you very much.
Brandex, killing it. Holy crap. Now, holy crap. Well, guys, I want every single person right here, before I start, give like a big like high five to Brandex in the chat, because he just blew my mind. He just completely blew my mind.